Hello, I am Samantha Jones, and I'm here to tell you about my experience using SunPower for our solar panels. Um, we probably never in a million years would have thought we could have solar panels. We have a metal roof, and someone somewhere told me that you couldn't have solar panels on a metal roof, so I never thought I could. But on top of that, I really thought I could never afford it. I thought it was just like one of those kind of cool green luxury items that I would probably never get to have. But how did this work? Well, it was kind of stumbled. It was sort of fate, I suppose. I met Anthony for a whole other reason, and we got to talking about his work in with solar panels and so forth, and I got to sort of pick his brain in a super honest way, just so that I could get kind of a grasp of what was possible in terms of getting solar panels. And he's like probably the sweetest, most honest salesperson you can get. He's not a salesperson. He's just like, look, this is great, and either you want it or you don't. And that I really liked. It's sort of, like when you're going and getting a new car, you're often dealing with kind of a situation where you feel like you're being upsold and you're not really getting the truth, and the person's not really answering the questions that you really want, but that kind of wasn't the case in this scenario. It was just a very straightforward conversation. And I thought, well, if that was possible, that would be interesting. So, he came and did an assessment of our house, which was really cool. And he's got this cool fancy drone that he uses and takes pictures on top of your house and all around your house and sends you cool pictures, which was kind of neat. But it turned out that we had some cool potential in terms of making solar, if we had it. And our house is kind of big. I mean, our electric bill was enough that it kind of irritated me, and I wasn't, using as much electricity as I would have liked to at certain times. And I like the idea of having the freedom to be able to just like leave the lights on in a room if I wanted to, like, a normal person where you don't shut all the lights out and go from room to room and shutting the lights out, turning the lights on, shutting them off, that kind of stuff. Because I know also that the electric rates go up depending on what time of year it is. And I just hate that. And I lived in New York City my whole life and had to deal with that. And I just wanted to kind of control my electricity situation. Also, I'm kind of a green-minded person. I have a hybrid car. I eventually want to get an electric car. So I thought, well, I want that. Someday maybe I'd like to have a pool. All the things that cost tons of electricity. And so what ended up happening was I just told him all of this. I was like, look, if I'm doing this, just give me all the solar. Give me everything, So he did. And then my house is prepared for everything that I do in the future in terms of my electric needs, which is really kind of neat and a relief. We ended up having to cut down a lot of trees, which ended up being great. I was so glad that I did it. We had a whole row of these kind of willows that were crazy and out of control, and we got rid of them because, in the winter you produce less solar, so we wanted to have a straight shot as much as possible. So, it was kind of a journey, but they came in and put them in. It was like bing, bang, bong, done. So they left the whole yard gorgeous. Everybody was so nice. It was just an easy process. And, as a result, I ended up hooking up with this other company that does the mini splits. And we also got rid of our oil heat. And so now we have a hybrid hot water heater. And so our whole house is basically running off of these solar panels. So anyway, that was great. And I talked to other solar companies before. I had somebody out here at some point, and it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like I was having an honest transaction. And it's an investment, but it's a huge upgrade to your home. So anyway, I probably wouldn't have done it if I hadn't met Anthony, because, well, you'll know when you meet him. And everybody he works with is amazing and full of information. Like any weird question I have, they probably have strings of emails from me of like 90 million questions that I had about every little single thing. What about this? And then this happens, and then this happens. And even after I have them, if I have any questions, it's like I get an answer in 1 second. They have all my paperwork handy, you know, if I'm disorganized and don't have my tax forms for my rebates, and they deal with all that stuff. They handle it, you know. I mean, it was just sort of like, why wouldn't I do this with them? And why wouldn't I do this, period? So that was cool. Let's see. What are the benefits? I'm just like looking at some possible things I could tell you. I mean, I guess I basically said it all. You know, they've helped me reach my goals with solar. I feel confident. I know that my house will always have electricity. I'm thinking about getting some batteries in the basement, which would even store my own little backup of electricity. But all of like the extra electricity that we do goes to our utility, and then we have this sort of backlog of electricity that we can use when in the darker months. Anyway, this is just sort of rambling. But what I would recommend is just having them come talk to you, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And, you know, if you're going to go with anybody to do this, I can't imagine why you wouldn't go with them. I mean, I am one of those people who really does her homework, and I'm also somebody who reads people really well. And, you know, they're good. They're a good egg. They're honest, and they don't harass you. I mean, you're just dealing with like a person who really loves what they do, and the whole company is so nice, and everybody is so cool, and their office is in this like cool old garage they made into offices, and just everybody's happy, you know, right? Because that's the whole thing. It's like if the employees are happy, then clearly the boss is nice, and you know. So I just recommend it. Check it out. It's good for the universe. It's good for the planet. It's good for you. And then you'll always have electric because, I mean, unless there's no sun at some point, but I can't imagine that would ever happen. That would be unfortunate.